Killer Instinct character outro tier list. Let's get into it.
I'm afraid your path ends here.
I'm afraid your path ends here. Very simple, to the point, no questions asked, and then he turns away from his opponent. He's got his own path to go on. Jago, solid, going in A tier for me. Saberwolf, once again, pretty basic here. You know, nothing crazy. He's a werewolf, going crazy, slashing his claws, doing a little ah-woo action. Nothing to see here. Pretty mediocre, honestly. Nothing too crazy with this one, so it's going in B tier. So we get a pose with this one. Obviously, Glacius doesn't speak, so we don't get any kind of dialogue or anything. Just shows the ice orb or whatever it is. He what else would he do? That's kind of like his taunt too. I don't know. It's whatever. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's not the worst thing in the world either. It's just him showing off his ice power. So I don't know what else they could have done to make his outro cooler, but it's just super whatever, I guess. This one is a classic. Everybody knows this one. Ah, Kutsi Yo Yo. There's so many different ways to say it. Some people say yum yum. Some people say yo yo. Ah, Kutsi Yum Yum. I don't know. This is gotta be one of the best outros for sure. Just because of how legendary it is. Everybody knows. He says, "Thank you for the battle." He's got his axes in his hands, and he walks off, ready to go to the next battle in search of his brother, in search of Ultratech people to destroy. I don't know. But this has got to be one of the best outros ever. It's perfect, and it's iconic. It's legendary. People just know Thunder's outro. People that don't play Killer Instinct know, Kutsi Yum Yum, because it's a meme at this point. It's incredible. It's got to be one of the best outros, free. This dude is evil incarnate. The zoom in on the face, super intense from start to finish, intensity through the roof. Super evil sounding too. He's very demonic sounding the entire time. He makes like these crazy demonic noises. Gotta put him in S tier. He's really good. I mean, it's a boss character too, so they nailed that. It's like a perfect boss character outro. Throws the Shendo Kuken at the camera. You can't go wrong with this one, man. He's so evil. He doesn't have a good bone in his body. You know, I can't imagine a better possible outro for this character. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Sadira's is pretty good. She kind of taunts you in her outro a little bit over so soon. Like she thought you were going to be more of a threat to her, and she just didn't think that the match was going to be that short. So she kills you fast, shows you her web power, clings back to her web, and goes back to whatever she was doing. It's a good outro. I mean, she shows her powers, kind of like Glacius, but there's good dialogue and there's intention here. And she kind of mocks you a little bit, so pretty good. I'm actually going to put it above Jago's. I think this is pretty solid.
One step closer to flushing out Ultratech.
To me, this one is also a classic, very similar to Thunder. One step closer to flushing out Ultratech. I've heard that so many times, man. Like, it's up there with the Thunder one for me. I'm actually going to put this one in A tier as well. It's classic to me. You know, I get that season 1 feeling whenever I see this outro in particular. It feels like 2013 all over again. Like when I first got my Xbox One brand new and I played Killer Instinct for the first time. So it gives me those good feelings of season 1. Not every character on this list for season 1 does that for me, but her and Thunder in particular definitely do. The dialogue is good. I do like the way she does her motions at the end. It looks a lot cooler than it did in the intro instead of just like whiffing a flick flack. I don't know. It's just cooler in general. And the dialogue doesn't sound cringy here either, like everything else that she has. So the outro is good. We'll put it in A. From start to finish, this is a godlike outro. Power Devour, ready to absorb all incoming special attacks with the shield. Does the laugh, and then he cracks his jaw twice, and then he hits you with the spinal pose, the classic. That's got to go in, oh man, do I want to put that in S? It's definitely tough because I want to either put it at the top of A or S. I feel like it has to be S though. I don't know. There's so many good ones. S tier is going to be huge. There's so many good outros in Killer Instinct. It's going to be huge. So I mean, use that information how you will, but I think it has to be S, kinda. Putting it above Shago too. It's It's hard to rate that one poorly. That's a really good outro. It's everything Spinal is as a character encompassed into like 10 seconds. If it's even that long, it might be even shorter than that. I don't know, but it's perfect. All right, so Fulgore's Hype Beam outro. Believe it or not, I'm actually putting this one at the top of A. The thing keeping it out of S tier for me is that, like, it's just him charging it and shooting the laser. That's all it is. So I feel like it could have been a little bit more hype if they had him, like, I don't know, like, imagine if it was like a RoboCop thing, like you see like a camera lens like zoom in on the opponent first and then lock on. If they had just added that and then like him doing the hype beam afterwards, it would have been so much cooler. Just one more detail I think would have been enough to put this one over the top. I think it's great the way it is, but I just don't think it's S tier quality. It's good, very good even. And I'm going to put it at the top of A, but I just wish there was one more little bit of piece of flair to actually put him over the top for me. So I'm going to put him at the top of A. It's still a very good outro, not quite S tier for me. TJ's is pretty basic, nothing too flashy here. Does some shadow boxing, whiffs a couple punches, you know, this, that, and the other, and then puts his hands up. He's the champ, and he just says, yeah. It's all right, you know, you can't hate that. You know, it's not crazy. It's what you would expect. That's probably why it's going in the same tier as Saberwolf. Nothing flashy here. He's just happy he won, and he's happy he's the champ. What more could you ask for, I guess?
You're not worthy prey.
Maya's is also really good, but I don't think it's S tier. She walks up to the opponent, puts the daggers up in the air like she's about to finish you off, and then decides at the last second, nah, this isn't even worth my time. You're not worthy prey. Gonna go in the bottom of A tier for me. The dialogue isn't bad here. Kind of like Orchids, I do like the outro compared to the intro, and the animations here are good. I like how she's getting ready to put the daggers up like this. It's very, actually, it looks like her standing heavy punch too, so I give bonus points for that. I like the animations here a lot. And then the way she just walks off like, maybe another time. You're not worthy prey. It's gonna go in A tier for me. I like Maya's outro.
You will no longer need this.
You will no longer need this. From the sound effects to the laugh, the animation, everything. He steals your soul and says, you will no longer need this, and just takes it from you, and that's it. S tier. Has to be. There is no way. There's nothing bad about this. There's so many cool things about this outro. The way he grabs your soul and then like how he poises it up in the air like, hey, look what I got. You know, like it's perfect. It's perfect from start to finish. He's super evil. He is absolutely what I want him to be as a character in this game. And his outro is a perfect representation of what his identity is, I think. It's just great from start to finish, and I have no complaints about it. So it's going in S tier. All right, this one's pretty cool. I'm going to put this one at the bottom of A. They attack their opponent after they beat them. They jump on them. They finish off the remains. They eat what's left of their opponent, which I don't know how that would work for like Kilgore or Arya or any of the other non-edible characters. Aganos? How is Riptor eating that? I don't know. Either way, they eat them. They bite them, whatever. Then there's the fire aspect. It looks great on camera. The camera angle here is awesome. So I think this is a really good outro. Bottom of A, I might put it above these two right here. Maybe somewhere in the middle of A instead. I like Riptor's outro. I think it's very fitting of her personality and just, she's just a dinosaur, dude. Like, what do you expect? Kind of similar to Saberwolf, except there's more flair here. There's more to see in general for this character. So it just makes sense. All right, so Omen this time, not as bad as last time in my opinion. So for his outro, he like does some sort of pose and then he gets like some sort of power. It's like lightning, which I don't really know if the lightning makes sense, but it's something. All right, it's something other than him just flying in looking like an imbecile. So he gets some sort of power, then he flies up in the air, and then he does a laugh, and that's pretty cool. That's evil sounding. I'm not gonna knock this one too much. As much as I dislike this character, I'm gonna put it in B, and I think that's probably where it goes. I still feel disappointed by this character in so many different ways, and I think he could be so much cooler than what he actually is. But I can't knock the outro. The outro is not too bad. This is one of the sillier ones. So you get defeated by Aganos. He throws the payload your way. All the rocks go up and they come down. He knocks him up in the air and he sends him your way. But then, just to show you that he's peaceful and loving and caring, he puts a little flower on top of a rock. Un flor. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's silly. It's not, super menacing. I mean, it starts out menacing and then it ends kind of silly. So I'm gonna put this one maybe top of B. If they made him just like a destructive war golem and he was like super crazy, that would put it over the top for me. But since he has like this soft side and he's not really like that, he's like actually naturally pretty docile. It's more like about peace and stuff like that. So it's not as cool to me, I guess. So I'm gonna put it at top of B. It's not bad, but just not necessarily my thing. Hisako's outro. She's completely consumed and possessed by a rage, and all she wants is vengeance. Her outro is literally just her using possession. That's the entire thing. There's a sound effect too, which makes it really cool, but the outro is literally just her using possession. I do wish there was a little bit more personality here. I'm going to put this at top of B as well. I don't necessarily hate it, but I do think there could have been a little bit more. I like the way it zooms in on the face, and I think that's really cool. I do like the way that she interacts with the camera on this one, but I just wish there was like something more leading up to it. Kind of similar to how Full Wars is just the hype beam. I wish there was a little bit more of an introduction to it. Hers is literally just possession. So, I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more from Hisako's outro. Cinders is an interesting one. I kind of don't get it. I mean, I guess he's like firing up or whatever, but then there's like an explosion on his body. Is that supposed to be a fission? I don't know. The animation does actually look cool. I just don't really get it. And then the pose at the end, that was too much fun. And he puts his hand up. It's all right. I don't hate it. I'm going to put it in B tier, I guess. It's like I said in the past, Cinder's not really my thing, but I get what he's going for and what his character is supposed to be. But again, just not really my thing. I don't really have too much to complain about with this one either. I just don't. It's kind of confusing to me. Like, what was like? Is he firing up? Is he powering up? What exactly is that explosion at the end? I don't know. I have no idea. But it's cool. It's whatever.
The world cannot rely on you.
Bruh. She steps on you, looks you dead in your face, and says the world cannot rely on you. Boss girl vibes. This is probably going S tier for me. She finishes you off, one last heel, stomp, and then just hits the pose. I don't know. I don't know how this isn't S tier. It has to be, right? There's nothing wrong with this. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a simp for Arya. Who knows?
You can't run from fate. But you should have tried.
So I'm actually not a huge fan of Kim Woo's outro. I like the nunchuck work that she's doing, but it almost feels like too much. And then she's doing it while she's doing the dialogue. So it I feel like it takes away from the dialogue. I wish it was more spaced out or something. I don't know. Just the ordering of how she's doing her nunchuck maneuvers while she's saying what she's saying. I think the pause between you can't run from fate and then she does like a whole thing and then she said, but you should have tried. Like, I don't know. It just seems like forced or something. And it's not really my thing. I'm going to put her actually in like C tier with Glacius here, just because I feel like it could have been executed better. I get what they were going for. The dialogue isn't bad. The motions aren't bad, but the combination of everything together, and then like she finishes it off with more poses. I don't know. It's a little all over the place for me, and I wish it was just performed better overall.
Death comes to all, except me.
All right, Tusk. So the one question I have about this is when he slams his sword into the ground, is he just like showing off, or is he trying to like kill them with the sword at the end? Because I feel like there'd be like a noise for that. We kind of hear Riptor land on the opponent when they jump on them, right? And we hear when Arya steps on the opponent too, so we have sound effects for that. But I feel like he's just slamming his sword into the ground. So that makes it not as cool to me, so I'm probably going to put it here in like A, somewhere with like Maya or whatever, his wife. I don't know if they're husband and wife anymore, but they once were. Anyways, besides the point, the rest of the outro was good too, because I like the animation of him doing the sword pose or whatever, and then him saying his classic line of "Death comes to all except me," and the spacing on the words and the way it's phrased and the timing. It's a way better delivery than the issue that I had with Kim Woo, where I just feel like it's kind of all over the place. I do like Tusk's outro for that reason. I think it's performed well. I just don't get the whole sword slam thing. That's the one thing maybe keeping it out of S for me. Because if he's like, "Ugh," and then you hear like a big like, I don't know, like bones breaking or blood spurting or whatever, I feel like that would put it over the top.
Another victory, yes, but there is always another battle.
All right, Arbiter's got to be high up there for me. Not quite S tier. Maybe if I was a bigger fan of Halo, this would be S tier for me, but I'm going to put it top of A. This is a good outro. He has a perfect animation here, and I like the way he's like checking his six, checking all angles, you know, and then he moves on. He's ready for war at all times. That looks good. Not like when Omen was looking around and he was like, where do I go? What am I here for? It just looked clueless to me. This one with Arbiter checking his surroundings, holding the gun, it makes sense. It looks a lot better than the Omen thing. And then the line, yes, another victory, yes, but there is always another battle. That is just a good life quote. You could apply that to anything. That's really good stuff, Arbiter. Thank you for the advice.
These cameos are killing me.
My personal bias is going to come into play here, and I'm going to put him in like B tier. But there's really nothing bad about this. It's just, you know, he's a guest character. He's super goofy. He's super wacky. You can't really take him seriously. Unless you're playing in the tournament set, then you have to take him very seriously. But that's besides the point. He gets on the bike. These cameos are killing me. My brother in Christ, you are the cameo. Die already. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what else you would expect here. It's just, it is what it is. He's super, you know, corny, goofy, whack, however you want to describe this character. I'm going to put him in B tier.
Your life, my plaything.
I have been doing Mira kind of dirty on these tier lists for a while now. Let's be honest. I love this character, in and out, but she hasn't been very high on a lot of these tier lists for a lot of different reasons. She has her imperfections, and I love her regardless. However, her outro, I love from start to finish. She's going in S tier for me. Going to be somewhere here like Arya, Shago, maybe. I think this is really good, and it all comes down to the animations for me. The way the blood is like swirling around her is awesome. I love the way the blood animation looks, and I think that she looks menacing in the outro itself. I also love the dialogue. Your life, my plaything. And then we hear the screech, and we see her get the pose, and the pose is super cool. That's like my favorite Mira animation, period. I think that looks awesome. So from start to finish, I think this is a pretty perfect outro, and I think it represents the character very well. So I have no complaints for Mira's outro. Finally, she's in S tier. Who would have thunk it?
Pitiful creature.
I don't know, bro. That's an S tier outro to me if I've ever seen one. That's pretty crazy. That's a crazy outro. Pitiful creature. Flies up through the portal. You see the entire world behind him. I think this is the only outro that changes the background completely. Yeah, they went crazy on this one. And then the pose with the arms crossed. Stop it. What more could you want from a Shadow Lord final boss outro? The dialogue is perfect. The animation's perfect. The change of scenery. I think he has to go above Thunder for that one. I mean, Thunder's is a classic and hard to beat. But I think Gargosh just did it. That's a crazy outro, bro. That's top of S tier for me. Once again, General Rom keeping it simple. Just sending the Krill army feed. I do wish there was a little bit more with this one as usual. I do feel like there's just something missing. I'm not really sure what it could be. Maybe just him like, maybe if he was like walking with them or something, or doing his charge, like the running bear grab. I don't know. I just feel like there's something missing. It's almost a little too basic. So I feel like with a guest character like this, they could have done more. I'm going to put him top of C just because I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunity with this one. Idol's outro, he just completely engulfed in rage, does a big old roar, swings the club around, and then it turns into the mage form one, and then does a big roar again. The only thing that confuses me with this one is, how is he swinging it around, and then he's got the head switch thing, right? So, like, I don't know. I don't get how he's swinging it around, and then he has, like, the mage property of, like, the lightning coming out. Is he an instinct in his outro? Did he just pop it, or is he in it? I don't know. It's confusing to me. Bottom of B, I guess. Not very cool to me. There's no dialogue here. He's just angry. So it's pretty basic. So for Kilgore, he shoots his guns, and then, you know, he gets fired up, and then we see him exhaust cancel. That's the whole outro. Then it zooms in on his face. I wish it was more like his ultimate, in the sense that it's kind of jokey, hokey pokey, if you will. And this one's just like showing off his moves. Now, we've had that in the past. Obviously, Hisako has her possession outro. Fulgore's got the hype beam outro. But I don't really get it with this character, because he's showing what he can do. But I always was under the impression that he was supposed to have like joke character vibes. He's very competitively viable, and he's not exactly a joke character, but he is inspired, very clearly inspired by other joke characters in fighting games. Like, you have Ryu, then you have Dan, right? So I kind of don't really get why he has such a serious outro. For me, I feel like they missed the mark with this one, so I'm gonna go low on Kilgore, just because his personality doesn't really fit with the outro, in my opinion. Okay, so Shinisako's is an interesting one. I like the way that she's walking away, and then she, like, you know, teleports over to where she's going. It's almost like the opposite of Hisako's intro, where she's walking towards you and then she teleports to you or whatever. This is kind of the opposite, so I do like that. But I don't really know what to make of, like, the thing where she, like, looks behind her and then does the sword slash. Is she just doing it just to do it? Is she trying to hit the opponent? Because I mean, I don't know if it's the camera or what the intention of it is, but it's just, something about it is off to me. I don't know. These season 3.5 characters are just all off to me in some way. I probably would just put her bottom of B. I don't think it really deserves C tier, because I don't really know what else I would want from this, because I guess it does fit the character, but I guess it's just not my thing. So Eagles is an interesting one. He's got the bird. It brings him back to the arrow. Now, what if the arrow wasn't missing in the first place? What would it do then? Doesn't matter. The outro itself isn't bad, and I like that he, like, shoots an arrow at the opponent while they're down. That's cool. But the dialogue is weird and wordly to me. And now your soul is extinguishing. Wouldn't it already be extinguished? I don't know. Are they dead already? Are they not? It's the way it's worded is weird to me. The word extinguishing has kind of always, like, thrown me off. So I don't really, I just don't get it. I don't know. Maybe they're not dead yet, and he's using the arrow to finish them off, and then they'll be extinguished. Who knows? The pose is cool. The sound effect is super weird. Eagles always had, like, a really weird voice to me, and his noises in general are just bizarre. Not as cool as Thunder's by any chance. So I don't know. My season 3.5 bias wants to put him in C tier, and you guys are just gonna have to hold that. Nobody in D or F, because I really don't think the outros in this game are worth it. Really, there were some intros that were really bad, but I felt like all the outros were okay, and I didn't really think that they were worthy of being D or even F tier, because I like them enough. Even the season 3.5 ones and the ones that are down here in C, just, like, you know, whatever, but they're not, like, awful. I don't think there's anything in these outros that's just like, I hate everything about this. So it's just more like questioning, you know, stuff like Eagles and Kilgore is like, it could have been so much better if this was changed or that was changed, but they just missed the mark, as opposed to being like, you are off on every single level and I hate everything about this. So that's why we have the tier list we have here. S tier is kind of big. I kind of want to move some of these around, but I don't really know what I would. I guess Shago can go in A. That way, I don't know, bro. I don't know what else I would move. I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think I'm moving anything else. We got a pretty big S tier, but that's okay. At least this goes to show, hey, Killer Instinct characters have no bad outros. I'll see you in the next one.
You don't